This is part three of the discussion discussing Tommy Robinson's interview at Triggernometry and different points and different questions that he raised. One of the questions that he raised about integration and assimilation, he said that go to Bradford, Birmingham, and other cities, and you would see that they have not assimilated. You would hardly come across any British-born Pakistanis in Birmingham, Manchester, Bradford, and other areas who cannot speak English in British accent, right? So, language is one of the most important factors or one of the most important indicators of assimilation, because if you understand any language, you will understand its history, its culture, its music, its movies. Many of British Pakistanis or Muslim British, they watch British movies, listen to British music. So this is a false claim. Nigel Farage has also made the same claim in the past, but in reality, language is the biggest factor or biggest indicator, and many of them can speak English. As far as different races are concerned, dishes are concerned, you can't prevent people. Uh, you are not a conformist person. You do not want conformity in every aspect. There could be differences between brothers living in the same house. So why do you object about the type of food, the type of dress that they put on? Of course, there are a reservation about the fully veiled women. And if you make a survey, if you go to all Muslim areas, maybe hardly 5% of Muslim population or 10% of the Muslim population, female, they fully cover them. Most of them leave their faces open. Some of them do put on hijab. And as far as hegemonic ideas of certain Islamic groups are concerned, of course, they can be dealt with. In the past, Al Mahajirun used to raise such slogan. Hizb Tahrir used to raise this slogan, and they have evaporated. They are no more now in power. Why? Because naturally the state took strict action. So if the state wants, it can take strict action, and it can easily, deal with these elements. That's not a big deal. About assimilation, if you look at, if these fundamentalist group had contested election like groups like Hizb ut-Tahrir and Al Mahajun, believe me, they would have faced a drubbing in Muslim areas. Most of the Muslim or majority of the Muslim, they support mainstream political parties like the Conservative Party, like the Labour Party. Even Nigel Farage party, one of his top guys, is also from immigrants backgrounds or Muslim backgrounds, and they are Muslim, are supporting other parties like the Greens and Jeremy Corbyn. So if they had subscribed to the ideas of Islamic groups like Al Mahajirun or Hizb ut-Tahrir or any other radical groups, they would not have been supporting the conservative, they would not have been supporting Nigel Farage, they would not have been supporting Green and other political parties. So it clearly indicates that most of the Muslim are pragmatists, and they do not buy the ideology of hate or the hegemonic ideas of some Islamist group. And Tommy Robinson doesn't know perhaps that Muslim or religion is not a monolithic phenomenon. Every religion has its own sectarian base, right? So majority of the Muslim living in the UK is perhaps from Barelvi school of thought, who go to shrines, who are more close to like Roman Catholic. Then there are, of course, Deobandis, again, the majority of whom are not radical. There could be a tiny minority of Salafists, but many Salafists are completely apolitical. They do not want to take part in politics at all, let alone imposition of Sharia or imposition of caliphate. Of course, there is a tiny section, and the government proved in the past that it can deal with this issue. Tommy Robinson also talk about demography. Now the question is that in 19th century, what was the demography of England? Were there a lot of immigrants? They might not have constituted even 1% of the British population. What was the condition? The country was heaven at that time. Boys and children as old as 12 and 13 years, they would work like animals. Even pregnant women would work for longer hours. It was only white working class who was being ruthlessly exploited by white capitalist class. So if you say demography is the fact all over the world. Then again, there is exaggeration when they talk about the number of migration. For instance, one of the right wingers said that the Muslim migration to Europe is the biggest migration in history. That's absolutely wrong. That flies in the face of reality. Muslims do not even constitute 25% of the Europe's population, entire population. The biggest migration took place between 1492 to 21st century or 20th century, and that was from Europe to other parts of the world. Like only between 1850 and 1930, according to some statistics, around 41 million Europeans migrated to Americas and other parts of the world. And if you look at statistics from 1492, then this would be a far larger number, far greater number. For instance, look at how demography got changed. It hasn't got changed because of the Muslims' arrival to Europe. It got changed because of the Europeans' migration to other parts of the world. For instance, in Americas, more than 900 languages used to be spoken. More than 900 languages. Hardly a dozen of languages are there, or they may not even be there. Most of the Latin America speaks Spanish. How come? That is demographic effect. Most of the Brazil speaks Portuguese. That is demographic effect. People in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the United States speak English. That is demographic effect. Where are the indigenous people? Where are the local people whose population, according to American, Professor Roy Cassandra, was around 120 million, and some people say it was 59 million. Some people say it was more than 100 million. Where are they? That was demographic change. So I don't think that Muslims are in a majority, and they cannot transform or they cannot affect demography on a massive scale. Of course, there could be dialogues about certain aspect, like especially veil, and not all Muslim observe it. Within Islam, there are different sect, different school of thought who don't believe that all Muslim women are supposed to cover, from head to toe. They thought that this was only for the wives of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It was not for all. So that is another point that I wanted to make, that when it comes to what we call demography, so I have given you example in 19th century, England and Europe was 100%, almost 100% white. But was there not exploitation at that time? Was there no child labor at that time? Were women not condemned to lead a life of animal, in the sense that they did not have many rights? It was the same white capitalist class and rich class that opposed women's suffrage, that opposed their education, that opposed their participation in political and public life. So everything was not hunky dory when demography was in favor of white Europeans. So that cannot be said. The most important thing, that Tommy Robinson does not want to talk about English class. It's very ironic that most of the leaders or ideological mentors of far right are all rich guys. Nigel Farage, Goodwin, Donald Trump there. Even Tommy Robinson was accused of getting support from some rich guys. And before that, English Defense League, when he was the part of English Defense League. So I mean, there are some critics who said that they were supported by rich guys. Now, the real problem of British society is class society. For instance, Eton Grammar or Eton College, Rishi Sonak, who is brown, rich guy, he could send his kids. Lord Ali, who is Muslim, he could send his kids there. Maybe David Cameron, Joris Bonenson, who are Christian. Maybe Goldsmith family, which is Jewish family. Sikh rich guy, Hindu rich guy, Lakshmi Mittal and other. They could send their kids to prestigious school charging somewhere 47,000 pound to 67,000 or 30,000 pound to 67,000 pound. They can go. But a man belonging to white working class, living close proximity to Eton College, his kids cannot even dream because he cannot afford to pay 40,000 pound a year. His salary might be, 30,000 pound a year. He could not meet both ends, let alone putting his kids. In the same way, let's say today it is around 12 pound per hour, the daily wage, the minimum wage. Tomorrow, let's say if government increases it to 40 pound or 30 pound. Now you tell me, where will you see English capitalists, Muslim capitalists, Hindu capitalists, Christian capitalists, Jewish capitalists, Sikh capitalists, and where would you see white working class man? Where would you see the Irish, the Scots, the English, the Bangladeshis, the Pakistanis, the Sudanese, workers coming from Latin America? So it is purely a class issue. In the same way, if you read, schools, in the prestigious school, expensive school, private school, where rich kids of Muslim background or Jewish background or Christian background or white background or black background can go, on average, if they have 5-acre green cover in one school, or maybe 10-acre, the government school where most of the kids of working classes, no matter what is their ethnic or religious orientation or background, it is less than 1 acre. So this is the difference. The same way, most of the prestigious clubs, everybody can go. Most of the brands, expensive brands, no matter you are Hindu capitalist, Muslim capitalist, Christian capitalist, you can afford it. But the white working class, the black working class, Latin American working class, they can't they can't do that. Tommy Robinson might say, all right, what are common points between the white working class and white capitalists? They might say language. The language, the way white working class has been speaking this language, has always been mocked at by white capitalists and the elite. Skin, that might be the common point. But if you look at the skin of white working class, it's really very hard. And those from upper classes, they might be soft. Manners, etiquettes. Do we need to forget that the aristocrats, the rich white capitalists used to mock at the way uh, white working classes would conduct themselves? Do you think that the dressing, the luxuries of life of white working class and white capitalists are the same? So these were the main important points that I wanted to discuss. We discussed interview of Tommy Robinson's at by that was conducted by Konstantin and Francis Foster, and was the third and last part. If you have any question or comment, I would love to answer them. Thank you.